What up, y'all? It's your boy Scott here. And make sure you click on that subscribe button right there so you don't miss out on one episode if I'm not going to hold you. And while you're there, cut on those notifications as well, drop a comment, and join in the discourse. I'm not going to hold you. Coming off last year, you guys finally re-signed Cody Bellinger. I know some Cubs fans were upset by how the offseason went. I feel like a lot of people thought you guys would make more moves after the big Craig Council signing. What's your opinion on the offseason? What do you think the outlook is for the team with Bellinger back in the fold?
I mean, that was a must. That Bellinger was definitely a must. I actually was up. I think it came out like 1:30 in the morning or something like that. It's like breaking news on ESPN. Um, I believe if we didn't after the Tiny signing went down, I think the main focus should have been that. Scott Boras, he's definitely a tough agent, so it's like a back and forth thing. He's going to make it as difficult as possible, but that was a must. Say a cornerstone to our just like not just our offense but our defense. So I believe the Cubs would be a well-rounded defensive team, especially up the middle. You'll probably have Cody playing mostly first, and maybe Armstrong in center field, and you can switch it off there. But definitely needed. It's kind of like you said, it is kind of disappointing that moves won't be made, but it's still a couple players out there that they can, hopefully grab and things like that. But we're not the only one that did make moves, you know what I'm saying? But to bring back that team, I think you're going to need another piece or two, maybe another pitcher. Let's see what they do at third base. I don't know if they can get Chapman or not. Obviously, he's a Scott Boras agent as well, so we see how that work out. But hopefully, I think Suzuki will come back stronger this year. He ended the year very well, even though he missed that fly ball, but shit happens. But yeah, Cody was a big signing. The contract is definitely, favorable. Like it's basically, okay, Cody, do it again. Just do it one more time, even though he's a proven MVP and things like that. It's like, okay, let me see you do it one more time. And then I know you got to opt out, and they're probably going from there.
Mikey, man, you have I don't think you were you when we talked about the outlook for the Cubs. I think you
Yeah,
did. You
yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah,
You were
yeah.
here, okay.
We
But
did it
now
on
that
the local hour.
yeah, we did on the local hours. We're gonna do the content, then we're gonna revisit it. What do you think now? After seeing the Bellinger deal go through and everything that's going on with the Cubs.
Well, to piggyback off Mike's comment, it was a must because I always felt re-signing Cody was the bare minimum for the Cubs offseason. I think they needed the moment that they decided to not trade him last August in the before the trade deadline as they were starting to make that run. I think they needed to go ahead and sign him to a deal. Now I am of the mindset that both parties won this deal. Um, Scott Boras was trying to cash out with Cody Bellinger for that 6, 7, 8 year deal off of the 1 year bounce back. And I think Jed Hoyer, I think the rest of the MLB was basically saying, hey, Cody, do it again. Prove it that you could do it again. There are some statistics that point to him not possibly having the same year that he had last year. His barrel rate was super low. So for the fact that his OPS was so high with the low part of him being able to connect with the barrel, I don't know if that translates this year, but we'll have to see. So it basically is the Carlos Correa deal where you get a high annual average value, $30 million a year. That's the most that a Cubs player has ever made in a single season, with opt-outs after year one, year two. So go ahead and do it again. If he does it again, then 100% he'll be in line to get paid. I think the Cubs really were hoping to bank on going with the PCA and the youth movement in center field. As it stands right now, he might not even break camp with the Cubs. It might be Cody Bellinger or Mike Talkman spelling Cody Bellinger and PCA developing more in the minors. I mean, he is still a child. He's only 21 years old. So if Cody hits and they keep him for the next 2, 3 years and PCA is coming up at age 23, the Cubs are still in the prime spot. I think what they do now, as far as third base, I'm a Christopher Morel guy. I think he should be playing every day. I think there's impact in that bat. I know his glove isn't steady at third base. But I think you have to get him in the lineup more. So if he can play third base, that's cool. I'm not really of the mindset that they need to go ahead and give Matt Chapman big money. Um, He's a career 247 hitter. Obviously, defensively, he goes ahead. He's going to go ahead and bring an amazing glove. And I mean, they're going to probably they'll have a Gold Glove third baseman, shortstop in Dansby Swanson, and a second baseman in Nico Horner. So they'll probably have one of the best infields in the league. But I think they still need to do more as far as pitching and another impact bat. As it stands now, I don't have them to be the favorites of the NLC Central. I think the Reds might be able to make a push. I think the Brewers will still be able to make a push. Let's see where they're at in the summertime, and if they go ahead and trade off one of these players, in the prospect, since they do have the number one farm system, to go ahead and add an impact bat.
And when you talk about all the additions they have and like what they're looking like as far as like the trajectory of the division, Dante, what would you have them at win-wise for this season? What do you think is a good season for them win-wise?
I think the Cubs are going to win around, I think that 85 to 89 game range. I do think they're going to contend for that division. I think bringing back Cody, like we said, having him in that lineup. And my whole thing with Morel, I would pay Matt Chapman. 100%. Like, I understand, the low batting average and all of that, but he's a guy, when he does hit the ball, he hits the ball hard. And putting him in a lineup where he has protection, and then you bring in a glove like that at third base, and like you mentioned, Dansby and Nico, and I think with Belly playing most of his time at first, I think if you slide Belly at first, you now have a Gold Glove infield. Like, I hear you, but I'm saying just context is everything. You now have a Gold Glove infield. You have more time for PCA to develop in the pros, because I'm not a fan of taking guys who are pretty much ready for the show and putting them back down for developmental purposes.
They're gonna ride with Michael Bush playing first base. My thing is, what has Michael Bush done to earn that right off rip?
Exactly.
Right off rip. Why weren't they looking to improve first base? And then you add somebody like Michael Bush, and now you have options. So they're going with an unproven MLB player. Yes, he was a Pacific League MVP, and he was a top ranked. He was a top, Red Sox, Dodgers prospect. But they were going to cut him to get him off the 40-man roster. The Dodgers rarely give up on people. They were ready to be done with him. So, he's going to get his ABs at first base. But I thought they should have went ahead, and I thought they were going to spend more. Honestly, from everything that's come out, Ohtani was never gonna come to the Cubs. He was just gonna be a Dodger regardless, or he was going back to
he was going nowhere. He was staying in Los Angeles.
Yeah. The other thing too is like, okay, what other moves could they have made?
Well, you're right.
Because it's kind of like people like, I want them to make moves, want to make moves. Well, we got left field, we got right field. The center field is okay. Is it PCA? Is it Bellinger? Okay, first baseman, but second, short. Second and short is solidified. Third, you got Morel, and then you got the ex-White Sox player. I like it because he ex-White Sox.
Magical, yeah.
Magical. And I like Magical because the contact and things like that. And he started to play a little bit better defensively at third. So it's like it was really only third base. You don't know what center field and first baseman because Belly could go both ways. So you just didn't know. So it's like, okay, where did y'all want to go? Maybe some relief help. Maybe another starting pitcher. Mike Topman is another person that is like, okay, prove that shit again too. Because he had a decent year, definitely defensively, making contact, being the leadoff hitter. But I did see like a projection of it. Like only one thing I do want, I just wanted I need Ian Happ to drop in the lineup. I just didn't like him where he was at. I think to me, he was just getting too many at bats more than the other players. I think he was batting second or third. Like, move his ass down. Like the
right.
Like, so I kept saying that. Like, and I'm a firm believer of this. I'm a firm fucking believer of this.
Fuck you, Debo. Fuck you, Debo.
I'm fellas, and they need to take if you're a switch hitter, get the fuck out of here. You can't bet right.
You got to pick one side.
Listen, I'm tired of that shit. Yes, every now and then you might get a homer or a hit. You're batting 125 right-handed. Bro, just either sit them lefty, just sit them down or bat, bro. Or bat. Like, stop who's terrible at that shit? Ellie the Cruz. Man, they thought that man was terrible right-handed. And Ian Happ be terrible, right? Like, bro, stop. Like, all switch hitters, just stop it. It was, no, it doesn't work, bro.
And I hear you. And to say, you know, what else they could have done, and kind of to go to Orla's point where, you know, you listen, man, take it from somebody. I'm a White Sox fan. I've done the whole fall in love with prospects. Them shits are like plus 5,000 parlays. Not every single person you just listed is gonna hit. Y'all motherfuckers have been talking about Brennan Davis for how long, and he can't stay on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
if one or two of Cassie Shaw hit, then that's fine. As you, Mike, as being a Cubs fan and knowing that the Ricketts have bread and knowing that you have these prospects, why wouldn't they be in play to go and trade off Ian Happ and trade off some of these prospects for Juan Soto? You know, like they have to at some point, regardless of what the Cubs have, they don't have a legitimate star in their lineup. They don't have star power. They don't have a Matt Olson. They don't have a Freddie Freeman. They don't have a Mookie Betts. They don't have a Mike Trout. They don't have a Bryce Harper. They don't have these guys that you really fear. Like, look at, like Cody Bellinger had an amazing bounce back year, but the league told you what they thought. We don't think he could do it again. Cubs, go ahead, take that short term, you know, take that chance on him again. If Cody Bellinger doesn't hit, then what is it? Dansby Swanson cannot carry a lineup. You know what I'm saying? So I thought you could have added another impact bat and had Cody Bellinger to lengthen your lineup and not put so much pressure on guys like Ian Happ, Christopher Morel, Dansby Swanson. We saw what Dansby Swanson did. Granted, they had a fucking whip 1 through 9 in Atlanta, right, Dante? But we saw what Dansby Swanson did with actual protection in the lineup. And that's all I thought.
And the crazy thing about
Get the fuck out of here with that. Who was in the World Series last year? Stop. That's the fucking problem. Y'all let these rich fucking people try to convince you that is the way to fucking go. Yep. The Diamondbacks did it. Listen, Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll are better than the two players on the Cubs. They're better than the best two players on the Cubs. It is what it is. You got to stop giving these owners shooting them bail. They need to go and put fucking players on the field, star players. You're the Chicago Cubs, right?
They're cheap. They're cheap because
and that's why.
They're trying to duplicate what last year did, because the Cubs did better with what they thought. So the owners saw like, oh, okay, well, let's run it back and just fix this. We went from 80-something wins. Maybe we can get the high 89 and half 90 if Ross didn't fuck it up. The Cubs should have been in the playoffs. So that's how they're looking at it. So it's like, oh, let's kind of run it back. We don't got to spend the money. And that's a fucked up thing. It's like, no, right. You got to get better because these other teams are going to get better. The major market teams, which is the Cubs, you have to get better because these other teams are going to get better around you.
Yeah, but that's also, again, like I've been saying the last 2 weeks, that's why they got Craig Counsell, because they're banking on him and his ability to manipulate that young talent and help them develop and get to the level where they need to get. So, like, yeah, they were cheap on that end, but they spent the bread there on the developmental side and the guy who's going to be actually driving the ship. So if Craig can do that, like, I hear what y'all saying and I agree, because I'm the main, like you said, as a White Sox fan, I know. But at the same time, being down here in Atlanta, they've had a steady mix of both. Like,
and you can have a mix of both. Right. But I think that if you're going the full Diamondbacks route, which is what Mikey said, you're on a slippery slope. And the thing that pisses me off about the Cubs, I'm like, not as a Cub fan, but you're the fucking Cubs. You can spend fucking money. And like, not to say that there's not, I'm with you, Mike. I don't really think that there was like a move out there to like, oh, it's going to save things. But I would have liked to see them maybe go, and this goes to my next topic about the Scott Boras remaining Scott Boras clients. I would like to see them maybe go after a Blake Snell or go after a Montgomery to try to put some things around there. Because after like Ola put in the chat, like, yeah, we had the prospects 2016. Yeah, but you had a good mix of free agents as well. And not to say that I put the Cubs at that point yet, but I think it needs to be a mix.
And then paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not.